Lisa Broyles with Way to Health MD, and this video is about bile salts. I know, on the surface doesn't sound like an exciting topic, but so important for so many of us. Bile salts are made by the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and secreted into the stomach when we eat, especially something fatty. The importance of bile salts is that they help us to break down and digest our fats and also fat-soluble vitamins, which are vitamin A, D, E, and K. So if you are somebody that has had your gallbladder removed, then you are still making bile salts because they're made in the liver, but you don't have your storage sac for the bile salts anymore, which is what the gallbladder's function was. So when you eat something fatty, for instance, say you have some pizza, something oily, then that gallbladder isn't there to secrete just enough bile salts for what you need to break down that fat. No, you just get this big dump of bile straight into the stomach that shouldn't have been that large of an amount because there's no storage sac, and then too much bile salts get into the intestine, can't be reabsorbed easily, and so then you end up with watery diarrhea, bloating, and gas. There are so many patients that I've seen that come to me because they've got watery diarrhea, or when they feel like they gotta go right then. And when I ask if they've had their gallbladder out, they're like, oh yeah, well, that's probably the issue. So there are some workarounds for that. If you've had your gallbladder removed, I do have a few suggestions. First of all, do you need to be on bile salts if you've had your gallbladder removed? Well, are you having symptoms? So symptoms of fat malabsorption is if everything is running straight through you after you eat anything fatty or fried. If you tend to get watery diarrhea after every meal, then perhaps bile salts would be beneficial for you. You can actually take bile salts as a supplement, which is ox bile. There's multiple supplements that have digestive enzymes with bile salts, or you can just get a supplement of bile salts that you take with meals that contain fat or oils. If you're having watery diarrhea after every meal, you may want to consider taking them with each meal. But the other subset of people that would benefit not from taking bile salts, but what we call bile acid sequestrants. These are prescription medicines like Welchol, which is Cholestyramine, or Cholestyramine. These are powders that you stir into water. One of my patients called them her sand. And when you take this, it helps to bind up that watery diarrhea and kind of thicken the stool and help you to be able to control your bowels better. So those are two prescription alternatives, the Cholestyramine or the Welchol, that you can get from your physician. There are some vegetables that do help your body to bind to those bile acids and pull them through the body a little bit better, make that thicken up the stools just a little bit. The primary vegetable that does this is beets, but honestly, beets are the best vegetable for it. They're only 54% effective at binding to those bile salts. The other thing that bile does, in addition to helping you break down fat, is it binds to toxins in the liver, and it's one of the ways that your liver gets rid of toxins in your body. Pesticides, plastic residues, chemicals that we inadvertently consume are bound to those bile salts and excreted into the intestines to go out, okay? So we use a lot of these medications like the Welchol, like the Cholestyramine, or activated charcoal, bentonite clay. These are natural, non-prescription alternatives. These actually bind to the bile salts and help those toxins get through the stools and out of the body instead of being recirculated, which we call intrahepatic recirculation, because the body wants to reabsorb its bile salts and use them again. But the problem is, if that bile salt was bound to a toxin, guess what? You get that toxin reabsorbed too, and that contributes to chronic inflammation and recycling of toxins along with your bile salts. You don't want that. So the best thing to do if you are suffering from watery diarrhea, bloating, you've had your gallbladder out, you should consider either the natural alternatives of the activated charcoal or bentonite clay, or something prescription like the Welchol or Cholestyramine to help bind those bile salts, pull those toxins right on through you. and it also will slow down your bowels. If you struggle with constipation, those medications are probably not for you. But if you are afraid of going out in public because you really can't control your bowels, these medications can be a lifesaver, and supplements as well. Thank you.